This session is an all over body movement flow. So what I mean by that is it's just 10 to 15 minutes of getting that body moving in all different ways. And it's a really good primer for if you're going to do some exercise, or alternatively, it's really good if you're a little bit stiff, so the next sort of active recovery workout as well. Even if you haven't done exercise for a little while, it's good to get that body moving, especially if you're sat behind a desk most of the day. Okay, so let's get going. I'm going to take my sort of my body towards the back of my working space. I've got my feet hip width apart. I'm going to start to engage in a nice positive posture. So I've thrown my hips forward and my feet are nicely placed on the floor. So I've got points of contact with my toe, my little toe and my heel. Hands down, shoulder blades slightly squeezed, shoulders nice and low. I'm going to take my hands up towards the ceiling and then I'm going to try and drive those hands back to either side of my ears. Notice here that I'm not overextending or flexing in this position. I'm just trying to reach up as tall as I can get, keeping those hands nice and active. And if you'd like to, you can take your head up towards those hands for 3, for 2, for 1. Keeping those hands nice and engaged now. Imagine you've got a ball between those hands. You're just going to slowly sweep them round towards the left-hand side of the room and then stand up, keeping that length in that torso. We're going to go to the other side. Good. Keep breathing. I just held my breath there, but definitely keep breathing in this one. And only go as far as you feel is comfortable, twisting around, keeping that lower part of the body nice and engaged. If this is too hard on your legs, just bend those knees up towards the center. Good. Now try and bring those hands in towards each other. If that's really hard with the shoulder sort of mobility, just be nice and active and you can have them a bit further apart. But in this position, I'm going to slowly bring them down towards my chest, sweep my thumbs on my torso, down my torso, and then slowly rolling down from vertebrae from the top of my spine all the way down to a nice forward fold position here. I might need to bend my knees nice and generously if I'm feeling quite tight in the hamstring or the glutes. Otherwise, I'm going to try and lengthen out those legs, providing it's not pulling too much on the hamstrings or the glutes or the lower back. Whichever position you're in, try and get your hands close towards the floor. As long as you feel in control. If you don't feel in control, just come out of it and then wait for the next exercise. But if you're in control, just walk those hands around towards the side of your left foot, allow your torso to flow with it for 3, for 2, for 1, all the way back. Trying to keep those knees facing forwards where possible for 3, for 2, for 1. Slowly bending those knees now, maybe widening that stance, and then just walking into an all fours position onto the mat, or just coming down into an all fours position. Keeping your shoulders or your hands below your shoulders, shoulder width apart. Try and get your knees underneath your hips and press the tops of the feet into your mat. So notice here that I'm not allowing my torso to drop through. And if I allow that, you can feel it really on your upper back. Try and separate those shoulder blades to some extent. So push away from the mat, nice and active in the torso. And also try and engage that pelvic floor so we're not overextending in the bottom of the spine. From here, we're just going to cycle through a couple of cat-cows. So as we inhale, we're going to lift our chin and lift our tailbone nice and gently to begin with. And as we exhale, we're going to round the back, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. Cycle through 3 rounds of this. If you can use your breaths, as you inhale, you come into this extension position. And as you exhale, you're coming into a flexed spine position, tucking the tailbone, tucking the chin. Just use your own breaths and take your time with this. You might want to pause it if you're going a little bit slower than what I am. But just make it count. We're just trying to improve or increase the movement in the spine if it's feeling a little bit tight. Coming into a nice all fours position here. So I'm going to try and take my right leg and I'm going to try and lunge through to level with my hands. So I've got my right foot in front of me, my left knee on the floor, and you can notice I've got a nice big square between my front foot and my back knee. I've widened my stance a little bit and I've got my hands on my hips and I'm just going to drive forwards for 3, for 2, for 1. Good, feeling it down the hip flexor. From here, I'm going to take that right foot out a little bit further and I'm going to do the same again, but just a little bit deeper. That's comfortable for 2, for 1. Good. driving back and lifting my toes so my heel is on the mat. If you want to take your hands either side of this front leg, do so. Otherwise, you can try and work on your stability and balance by just being nice and upright. Just try and control that movement now. So we want to feel a nice pull down the hamstring and the calf, drawing those toes towards the shins for 3, for 2, for 1. We're now going to take our hands down, if we can get there. And we're going to walk our hands around towards the side of the room, allowing ourselves to come onto the side of our front foot. So the right foot, the right side is on the mat, and I'm feeling a pull all the way at the adductor, and all the way down the side of this leg. And I'm just going to pulse back and forth for 3, for 2, for 1. I'm going to twist around 90 degrees again in the same direction. And I'm going to really push this leg back. So I'm tucking my toes, feeling a nice pull down the plantar fascia, so the connecting tissue all the way down the sole of the foot. And I'm feeling it in my heel, my Achilles, my calf, and also my hamstring. Also, as I'm sort of pulsing back and forth, I'm feeling it in my shin as well. For 3, for 2, for 1. I'm just going to roll onto the outside of my foot now, feeling it in the hip. And then I'm just going to drop onto my side here and take my left leg inwards. So from a front profile, I'm dropping the side, and I'm in this position. From here, I'm just going to rock back and forth for 3, for 2, for 1. Good. Sweeping round and then switching legs. So now I've got my left foot out in front of me, my right foot's behind. I've got those toes tucked initially. I'm just going to drop them down towards the mat, try and get a nice stable position. So instead of having my left hip like hiked up, I'm going to drop it down and try and level it off. Having a nice width between my legs, I'm just going to pulse back and forth for 3, for 2, for 1. Taking that left foot out a little bit further for 3, a little bit deeper now, for 2, for 1. Good. Slowly coming back onto the heel of that front foot, lengthening that leg, taking your hands down if you'd like to, up to you, or in this nice upright position. If you're in this upright position and you're sitting really upright, but you can't feel the pull on your hamstrings, just drop those hips back just a little bit and drop your torso forward a little bit, and then you should start to engage that area a little bit more. For 3, for 2, for 1. Good. Rolling onto the inside. So you're on the inside of that left foot. You can flatten that sole of the foot out and then move it in if you want to work on that ankle mobility. Just going to pulse back and forth for 3, for 2, for 1. Good. We're going to roll around onto the top of that foot. So it's out behind us, tucking those toes. For 3, for 2, for 1. And we're going to just drop down onto our left hip. Take that right foot out in front of us. And we're just going to rock back and forth for 3, for 2, for 1. Good. From this position, I'm going to take my right foot to meet my left foot, and I'm going to end up on my back. There's a couple of things you can do here. You can either try and keep your legs straight as you lift up your hips and take your torso up towards the ceiling, or that's quite hard. Take your feet to, I don't know, maybe about a foot below your bottom, feet hip width apart, and you can lift up like this. So whichever variation you've chosen, what we're trying to do is keep that nice strong core. So change your hand stance as you feel fit, see fit. I've got my fingers facing towards my feet. When you're ready, lifting up. As I lift up, I'm going to try and get my soles of my feet to touch the mat for 3, for 2, for 1. Slowly dropping that bottom down. Good. Coming to a nice standing position. So coming up to that standing position, you can do it in a few different ways. You want to try being a little bit explosive, coming onto your back, otherwise just meeting me in a standing position, rocking back and forth, and then slowly trying to stand up into a nice standing position. If you can't do that, don't worry. You can also use your hands either side of your body to give yourself a little bit of a push, or if you're not feeling warm enough, don't do it. It's just a little add-on. All right, so last few little exercises. we're going to take a nice big step forwards with our right foot. We're going to twist our left foot out towards the side of the room, so 90 degrees or 45 degrees to the mat. My right foot's facing forwards. I've got my heel in line with my arch. I'm going to take both my hands either side of my body, and then I'm just going to reach forward as far as I can, keeping those arms nice and level. And then when I can't go any further, I'm just going to twist down. So I'm coming into a triangle position, or trikonasana if you know yoga. Left hand up towards the ceiling for 3, for 2, for 1. I'm going to drop my left hand down towards my right hand, and then I'm going to lift back up again. That's 1. I'm going to do it 3 times. 2. 3. Good. Take that hand behind the back. Lift that chest a little bit further for 2, for 1. Take your gaze down towards that front foot. Bend that front knee. Take a nice big step forwards. Switch sides. So I'm going to take my left foot out now. Left foot's facing forwards. Right foot's at 45 degrees. And twist my hips to the side of the room. Take my arms out. My front heel is in line with my back arch, squeezing those shoulder blades together, reaching forwards. When I can't go any further forwards, I'm going to just twist my torso down towards the side of my leg, lifting my right hand up and taking my gaze up if I can. For 3, for 2, for 1. Slowly dropping that right hand. So left hand balance might be a thing here. If so, just widen your stance. 1. Also, you can just choose to keep your gaze fixed on the floor maybe, instead of taking it up with a hand. 2. Last 1. 3. Placing that hand on your lower back, lifting your chest up towards the ceiling for 2. For 1. So you're twisting your torso around towards that front foot, bending that front knee, standing up into a nice upright position, shaking out those legs. From here, we're just going to drop down onto our knees. So for me, I'm going to come onto my tiptoes into a squat, and then I'm slowly going to lower my knees, one knee and then the other knee to the mat. You can do it together with control, even better. Taking both hands out in front of you now. Bring your hands up and then taking your elbows in. So hands out in front, fingers up, bring them in. So from a side profile, we've got a nice rounded upper back. From here, we're just going to lift those hands up, trying to keep those arms stuck together for 3, for 2, for 1. We're going to try and bring those elbows now down towards the pelvis, keeping those arms stuck together, allowing your back to round for 2, for 1. Once again, keeping those arms together, lifting them as high as you can for 2, for 1, and then slowly dropping them down for 2, for 1. Good. Relaxing those hands, rolling those shoulders for 3, for 2, for 1. Taking your head over towards the right hand side of the room if you can, and if it's comfortable, maybe taking your gaze slightly up towards the ceiling, not too extreme, and then dropping that gaze down towards that right shoulder. 2, 1. Coming back to a nice sideways look, and then up to center, other side. So dropping your head down towards your left shoulder. Try not to bring your shoulder to your ear. Bring your ear towards your shoulder, and just allow whichever position that head is able to get into happen. 2, 1. Take your gaze up towards the ceiling if that's comfortable. Just watch the back of the neck there. And your gaze down towards your left shoulder. And then back to neutral, back to center position, all the way up. Great. I hope that session warmed you up nicely, or mobilized you, or helped get the blood flowing after a difficult session. I look forward to seeing you on my next session. Thank you.